You're watching the news on Magic Bricks now. I'm Amita Balachandra. Let's take a look at the top headlines. It is Citizens 1, Government 0. The NGT stays Bengaluru's controversial steel flyover for 4 weeks. This comes hours after a whistleblower blows the lid over L&T's deal with the Siddaramaiah government. Another mega Magic Bricks Now impact, a sustained campaign in support of honest IAS officer Tukaram Munde pays off. We get strong indications from the state government that the Chief Minister is in favour of retaining Tukaram Munde as Navi Mumbai Municipal Commissioner. And Mumbai Civic boss Ajay Mehta cracks the whip, could terminate contracts of 12 companies, blacklist them and make them pay for Mumbai's abysmal potholed roads. First up, a mega Magic Bricks Now impact. Big win for the Beda Brigade on VVIP flyover in Bengaluru. Your voice made this happen. The NGT, or the National Green Tribunal, stays the controversial steel flyover for 4 weeks. Magic Bricks Now has been consistently taking up the issue ever since the controversial flyover was commissioned by the Karnataka government. Your channel stood by the stand taken by the citizens, and your voice was finally heard. My colleague Shrija joins us on the phone line. Shrija, of course, the NGT has now put a hold on the project. What are the details you're picking up at the moment?
The work on controversial steel flyover linking Basaveshwara Circle to Hebbal that was to begin early this November has got an interim stay by the National Green Tribunal for 4 weeks. In fact, the National Green Tribunal ordered the suspension of BDA's order, asking the government to submit a detailed report on impact of the construction of the flyover on the environment. In fact, today in a press conference, Union Minister D.V. Sadananda Gowda told the media that there is no transparency in the project and that the government should hold public consultations with the citizens. However, taking note of concerns of citizens of North Bengaluru and proposed steel flyover which comes on Sadananda Gowda's Bangalore North Lok Sabha constituency, he told the media that this flyover can help decongest the city's traffic. Also, an ex-IAS officer and whistleblower M.N. Vijay Kumar has alleged that L&T that it has been blacklisted by World Bank and by the Joint Parliamentary Committee headed by Prem Chandra Sagar for irregularities. Now, what we also know is that the big question here is why the Honorable Chief Minister Siddaramaiah and Bengaluru Development Minister K.J. George are keen on getting the project complete through blacklisted companies.
Also, Shrija, tell us, you also attended a press meet where a whistleblower, made some revelations against L&T. Tell us about that meet.
Yes, today basically M.N. Vijay Kumar had made allegations that L&T, the project where the steel project was given to L&T by the state government, in fact, it has been blacklisted by the World Bank and also the Joint Parliamentary Committee, which is headed by Prem Chandra Sagar for irregularities.
All right, Shrija, thank you so much for those details. On that note, we have our editor, Faye D'Souza, joining us in the studio to give an editor's perspective on the story. Faye, thank you so much for joining us. First of all, tell us a big win for home buyers. We've been campaigning against the steel flyover from day one.
Well, Amita, what we've been campaigning for is for the government to take into cognizance the view of citizens. And even before the 21st of October protest that took place in Bangalore, where we saw 8,000 citizens of the city come out into the street and protest this flyover, we began talking about it before that because there was a very strong opposition to the flyover from citizens. Our demand has always been that the government stop, take into consideration the views of its citizens and then move forward. And up until last night, it was the government that was adamant on going ahead despite the protests and despite the objections coming in from large quarters of citizen groups. Now, there's no argument that maybe there are some people who are for the flyover, but not everybody is, and that's something the government needs to acknowledge. The good thing about this NGT stay is that even if it is for 4 weeks, it makes the government stop and sort of have to put together another docket proving the need for this flyover and proving the need for the environmental impact it will have on the city, which we know is going to cost the city of Bangalore about 812 trees that citizens care very deeply about. Remember, the trees in Bangalore are hundreds of years old. And citizens of the city feel very strongly about those trees, which is why we've seen such a large, outpouring of opinions from citizens. Apart from that, the actual justification on why this flyover is needed at all, should it be on this route, should it be in its current design, all of those things the government of Karnataka is going to have to re-justify to the NGT. And I think that alone is a massive win for citizens, because again here the government will have to put together its docket and prove in court why it's necessary to have this flyover.
All right, now joining us on the phone line is V. Balasubramaniam, who is the petitioner. First of all, tell us, now of course the NGT has given a 4-week stay on the steel flyover. What does this mean for citizens of Bengaluru?
It has been stayed now. The government was to go ahead with the project, giving work order, I think, on 3rd of November or so. That they cannot do now because there are 2-3 different kinds of permissions needed. Under the Act, environmental impact assessment has not been done, and under the Tree Act, permissions have not been taken. So all these things will have to be satisfied to the NGT when the hearing comes now. So therefore, the whole thing is stopped now. So that's a great victory for the people of Bangalore. Hello.
But Mr. Balasubramanian, I want to ask you this. Of course, the fact that the NGT has asked for the government to re-justify the flyover, the government now having to take into consideration not just the views of its citizens, which it had until yesterday brazenly set aside and decided to go ahead. What are you expecting in the justifications that the government will put forward to the court? Because now the government has to prove to the court why cutting down of 812 of Bangalore's trees is necessary.
Yeah, that they will have to justify. But the point is there are certain legal requirements which the government has not done. For instance, under the Trees Act, even if it is one tree, they will have to get the permission under the Karnataka Trees Act, which they have not yet obtained. The second thing is environmental impact assessment has not been done. So these are two of the main objections, legal lacunae, which they will have to explain to the satisfaction of the NGT.
Well, Mr. Balasubramanian, yesterday we had a conversation on this very channel about the steel flyover. The government went ahead and said, or to me on the channel, that we are elected representatives. We don't have to take into consideration the views of the people because we already know the views of the people as elected representatives. Do you believe that this, these 4 weeks where the government is going to have to cool its heels for a bit, have to re-justify the flyover, is actually, a huge boon for citizens, because this was a government that until last night was hell-bent on going ahead no matter what objection it found from citizen groups?
Yeah, the government was bent upon in an indecent haste to go ahead with this project. That's why there was such an amount of haste was being shown. Now that whole thing has been stopped and they'll have to go and justify to the NGT now. The government cannot say we are the elected representatives, therefore we can do anything we like and all that. That's the most silliest thing one can think of. And they can be replaced in the next election. In fact, the very reason why this project is taken up, according to me, is that the elections are coming in 2018. So with a view to that, they have been taking up this kind of a project in such a great haste. And it's the silliest project one can think of because it's not going to solve the traffic problem at all. Where the flyover is going to end, there will be a terrible a traffic jam. This sort of thing they have not thought of.
In fact, the disregard for public opinion is something that the government is going to have to take into consideration in election year next year. In fact, we're joined on the phone line also by BJP leader R. Ashoka. Mr. Ashoka, thank you for joining us. A reprieve then for Bangalore citizens here from the NGT?
Yeah, we will 100% we will welcome Green Bench given a good order. The Bangalore citizen very, very happy for this judgment. Really, the government behavior is worst because more hesitation. 10 and 11, 12, I think many hesitations. The government...
Mr. Ashoka, to be fair, this was also a flyover. This plan was initially launched by the BJP government when it was in power. So, this would have been built by either one government at some point.
Sorry, madam. We are not done. I am the district minister of that time. Mr. Yediyurappa is the CM. We are not signed anything. That some corporation commissioner, he done only his own thing. There is no approval from the any government, BJP government. There is no approval by the minister or the government. No, just BDA commissioner and corporation commissioner. They individually take this decision. After that, Congress government came to power, so they started. We are not a party of this. We are not signed. We are not any given direction to the officers also.
Mr. Ashoka, also tell us, we've been told by our reporter that BJP Minister Sadanand Gowda has taken the side off the flyover today.
No.
Right.
No, sorry.
Is there a break there in party opinion on
opposing.
whether or not we want this flyover?
No. 100% Sadanand Gowda and local MLA Mr. Narayan Swamy in Nepal. This is the party decision. Party decision, we will oppose. Because the Bangalore people are opposing this. The environment problem here. No sanction from the any environment officials. They are telling we are taken Tata Institute permission. So
You know, I want Mr. Balasubramanian, who's also on the phone, to listen to this bite. And this is BJP Minister Sadanand Gowda, who spoke on camera today. Please have a listen, Mr. Ashoka, and then we'll come back to you. And I want both your opinions on this bite.
Of the state government, when it is not resolved here, let them approach the urban development ministry direct center. We will cooperate. How we cooperated in Kaveri issue, how we have cooperated in Krishna issue, how we cooperated in Mahadai issue. Of course, the initial stage there might have been certain misconceptions and all that, but later on how we acted in the larger interest of the state. So why they are hesitating? If they are not able to convince we people, let him go to the center and convince our urban development minister.
Will you take it there, sir? Will you have a word with him?
Is it not the responsibility of the state government?
Since they are not going, will you take it up?
Sir, certainly at time, I should wait for some time. BMRD office, and I requested him to show me the presentation. I put some questions to him. It was his responsibility to see that at least the people's representative of that area should be taken into confidence.
Right.
I am not only member of parliament. Fortunately, I am the central minister also. I myself spoke to him. What are you doing? What the things are going on?
In fact, we also have Nasir Hussain on the phone line, joining us on the phone line. Mr. Hussain, thank you so much for joining us. First of all, tell us, what does this mean? Will the state government, still go ahead with the steel flyover post that 4-week stay?
See, the government of Karnataka is committed for easing the traffic on the roads of Bangalore. This has been a consistent demand of the people of Bangalore for the past 1 decade, which the state was ruled by the BJP in the state government, and then they had the BBMP for over a decade now. We have seen the mess. We have seen the mess the city was, especially on the roads. So we are committed to easing the traffic on the roads of Bangalore. There's no second thought on that. As far as the steel flyover is concerned, we are also committed to constructing this steel flyover because we have gone through all the procedures. And there is now this news that NGT has given 4 weeks time to have an environmental impact study done. But I think, according to my knowledge and the explanation given by the state government, and that has been given, say, about a month back or so, that an environmental clearance is not required as per the MOEF notification dated 22nd August 2013. So that was the reason why the state government went ahead without an environment impact they've gone ahead without an environment clearance by the central government because there's a notification of 2013. Now NGT has given a stay and they have asked the state government to do a impact study then. I think the state government will look into it and they will take a call on that.
Well, Mr. Balasubramanian, if you're still with us, the argument or the debate initially began when citizens stood up against this flyover. It has, over the last couple of weeks, though, become increasingly political. Do you believe that the several, political parties are taking, sort of using this as a method to go into election year next year?
You see, in India, everything is political, so I will not comment on what individual parties are saying. Everyone are the same. There is no difference between any of these political parties. But the objection of the citizen is not at all political. That is, they belong to no party or, in a sense, to all parties. And therefore, we should not take into account these political parties' objections and all that. Today they will say one thing, tomorrow they will say another thing, and they are in power. So just disregard that. The whole point is about the citizens. The citizens have protested, and the NGT has come forward very in a welcome order. They have agreed to this, and then asked the state government to explain all those points which have been made. 2 points. One is that an environment impact assessment has not been done as it is required. And the second point is about this under the Trees Act. There are about 812 trees which have to be cut, whereas the website says there are about 500 and odd trees. So they are not really known. Even the counting has not been done properly. So all these things will have to be explained by the government before the NGT. So that is the important point, not what the political parties are saying today, tomorrow, day after tomorrow and all that.
Mr. Balasubramaniam, like the representative of the government, Dr. Nasir Hussain, just mentioned on this show, in which he has been maintaining over the last couple of weeks on this channel as well, that the environment assessment was not necessary for this particular project given its size.
Yeah, let them explain.
And that all due process was followed by the state government. What's your response to that?
See, the whole point is it is not done. These people do not read any judgments or any. They are not quite clear in their minds as to what they are doing. They like to. See, they are civil servants, and the political decisions are taken by the ministers and the cabinet and all that. So what can they do? Nasir Hussain or anybody else, they'll have to only toe the line of the government. They can't go against the government. But now that the NGT has issued the stay order, they'll have to explain why environment impact assessment is not needed, why Trees Act permission is not needed. These things will have to be explained before the court, and not what the individual government servants say before the TV.
All right, there 4-week stay on the controversial VVIP steel flyover in Bengaluru there. Gentlemen and Faye, thank you so much for joining us here on Magic Bricks. Now, meanwhile, the former Lokayukta of Karnataka, Santosh Hegde, says that the government must find an alternate route. Listen in.
Well, at least one competent adjudicating authority, National Green Tribunal, has granted an interim stay for 4 weeks. Otherwise, the government was very keen to start it as fast as possible and rush it through and make the protest against it infructuous. I'm very happy that Green Tribunal has passed this order, so that there will be some discussion across the table in front of an adjudicator. It's not only a question of cutting 800 trees, it's also a question of the amount involved in that construction, 1,800 crores of rupees. Experts in the field have said that much money is not required, and others also who are concerned with the construction of steel bridges have said, given reasons all over the world where steel bridges have been dismantled because it is not the best way to tackle the traffic problem. But these people do not want to discuss anything. If you say that send a Twitter group sends 100 messages, they say we got 200 for it, and such like argument is being placed. You sit across the table with the experts and they talk anything, they say we have also consulted. This type of arrogance in administration is not suited for democracy, where people's voice must be heard. Once you are elected, that doesn't mean you got a carte blanche power of attorney on behalf of the voters to do what you want to do.
Remember, Magic Bricks now stands with the citizens of Bengaluru there. The fact that this controversial VVIP steel flyover has gotten a 4-week stay by the NGT or National Green Tribunal is good news for home buyers and home, or citizens of Bengaluru. We'll keep a close watch on that here on Magic Bricks. Now, moving on to the city of Mumbai now, BMC Chief Ajay Mehta has finally started taking action against people who have failed to make the city pothole free. Magic Bricks now exclusively learns that as many as 12 contractors have come under the scanner of the commissioner, and if found guilty, they could be terminated and could also be put in the blacklist. My colleague Disha Shah gets us exclusive details.
12 contracts could be terminated by the BMC Commissioner Ajoy Mehta. This is what we are picking up exclusively from the officials in the BMC, and the reason they tell us is that this has come to light right after how the civic body has been missing deadlines after deadlines to make the city pothole free, and now the commissioner has taken up the matter in his own hands, and he clearly states that only contractors are to be held responsible for the pothole mess in Mumbai. In fact, in the last week he had asked a report from the road department asking that who are those contractors who have not done their job on ground, who have not met the deadlines to fix and to repair potholes in the city of Mumbai, and 12 names have been emerged from the report is what we understand from the officials. In fact, what we also understand is that the commissioner is going to take strict action against those 12 contractors. They could, apart from facing termination, they could be blacklisted as well. This is what officials are telling Magic Bricks. Now, for long-term solutions, what they tell us is that they are going to they are going to invite fresh tenders, they are going to appoint new contractors, and the lowest bidder won't be the criteria anymore. They can also look at appointing the highest bidder for the road repair work in Mumbai. So lastly, what we understand is that the investigation is on, and if these 12 contractors are found guilty, then they could be terminated and they could be blacklisted as well. This is Isha Shah reporting here for Magic Bricks Now.
Moving on to another big impact here on Magic Bricks Now, where the Maharashtra government seems to be coming in support of ousted NMMC chief Tukaram Munde after the NMMC political parties, barring BJP, passed a no-confidence motion against him earlier this week. Ruchi Deshpande joins us on the phone line. Ruchi, we know that Munde has submitted a report, so has the mayor. Tell us, what are you hearing? Is the CM in favor of Tukaram Munde?
Well, it certainly seems like the Chief Minister of Maharashtra is in favor of keeping NMMC Chief Tukaram Munde in his current post. What sources from the Urban Development Department have indicated is that there have been discussions between the Chief Minister's office, the Chief Minister himself, as well as the UD Department, who is basically the boss of Tukaram Munde, and all the discussions that they have had are leaning in favor of Tukaram Munde. The rationale behind this move basically is that the only way they state that they can fire an IAS officer is if there is any gross misuse of public funds that has been done by him, or if he has taken any moves that are not in public interest. But UD sources say that Tukaram Munde has, in fact, on the contrary, been a favorite with the residents of Navi Mumbai. They also told us that a lot of Navi Mumbai residents have reached out to the UD Department of Maharashtra, and that they have pleaded with the UD Department asking them not to remove Tukaram Munde from his current post.
By when could we expect the Chief Minister to take a final call on this?
Well, the discussions are currently on between the CMO as well as the State UD Department, but they did tell us that they will take a decision on this either tomorrow or latest by the 2nd of November, that is next week.
Those details on Magic Bricks Now. Moving on, now Mumbai's iconic CST station that sees almost 2 million commuters pass through its portals daily is in for a grand makeover. Mumbai civic body, the BMC, is attempting to refurbish its surroundings and rid it of eyesores that are marring the grandeur of the Gothic marvel. So, what's in store? My colleague Disha Shah gets us a special report.
Mumbai CST, or Chhatrapati Shivaji Terminus, UNESCO World Heritage Structure, icon of Gothic architecture, immortalized on celluloid and film, must visit on every tourist itinerary, and also one of the world's busiest stations, is all set for a makeover. The BMC wants to make the area around this historic station more pedestrian and tourist friendly. What's in the works is a complete revamp of surrounding bus stops, wider hawker-free footpaths with uniform street furniture like footpath paver blocks and railings. Stellar plans, but conservation architects would rather be cautious and wait for the entire plan to be made public.
The plan needs to holistically address visitor movements, traffic, suburban traffic movements, as well as the rail transiting passengers, and also upgradation of the streetscapes, the footpaths, the pavements. And that's something that, as part of the Dadabhai Nauroji Road, we need to look at better facilities for pedestrians, whether it is better walkability on the historic arcades, the pavements, better street furniture. And I think the fact that the Mumbai Metro Line 3 would soon be also giving people a possibility of a mode of transportation through an underground metro line would also help in the pedestrianization of this zone.
To be fair, the BMC has reached out to architects before drawing up the entire plan. Officials told Magic Bricks Now that a lot of work has gone into the details. For instance, the civic body has proposed a complete ban on hoardings in the station so that nothing mars the view of the grand structure. In fact, the civic body also plans to repaint the footover bridge on DN Road with a colour that suits the structure and a heritage canopy. Footpaths also will be widened and hawker-free for easy and smooth pedestrian movement. However, there are dissenting voices as well.
Any intervention with these structures will only reduce its lifeline. Now tell me, this is a grade 1 heritage structure. Now if someone says I'm going to beautify the Taj Mahal, I would say that you lost it. These things are timeless, they stand the test of time. You only have to ensure they don't deteriorate. Any intervention we're trying to make it better will only create havoc with these structures. And it is a case across the city. You see all these monuments, wherever these people have interacted with, they are in a worse shape.
Another key concern is implementation. But the BMC, which has submitted the plan to the centre for approval, says it has this covered. Once approved, the plan will be implemented in phases.
Yesterday's Victoria terminus and today's Chhatrapati Shivaji terminus, this Indo-Gothic structure is much more than a mere transit point. It is a building that symbolizes a billion dreams, one that defines Mumbai, and one can only hope for that the plan to beautify and revamp this iconic building will be a fine balance between utility and beauty. This is Disha Shah reporting here for Magic Bricks Now.
And with that, it's wrap on this edition of the news on Magic Bricks Now. Thank you for watching.
You can watch live TV on our website mpnow.in. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/magicbricksnow. And don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at Magic Bricks Now. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/magicbricksnow.